Hey, hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this Python beginner tutorial series, today let's discuss about what is Python namespace. Okay, so before going into namespace, let's try to understand what is name in Python. In one of our previous videos, we discussed about identifier, right? So name is also called as identifier. Is simply a name given to objects. Alright, so everything in Python is an object. Okay, so we will discuss about all these things in detail in our upcoming slides. Right, so for example, if when we do the assignment x equal to 5, okay, so when we use an assignment operator called x is equal to 5, so in this situation 5 is an object, the value 5 is an object which is stored in the memory, and x is the name we associate with it. So here 5 is the object and x is the name we associate with it. So we can get the address in the RAM of some object through built-in function called id. Okay, so let's see an example. All right, so let me go to a PyCharm. So let's take the same example, x equal to 5. Okay, now if I print id of 5, now if I run this, you can see an id got generated here. Okay, so this is the reference that is generally used by your memory. Okay, so if I use print id of x, now if I run this, you can see both are pointing to the same value. All right, so now if I go back to the definition, you can see we can get the address in RAM of some object through the built-in function id. So we can get the address using this id function. Okay, so this is the address. So whenever you call id of 5 or id of x, okay, so whenever it relates to the same object, it will actually use the same address, which is why Python is very popular. Generally you call it as a dynamic allocation, okay, because you do not want to duplicate objects to store values which is of same kind. Okay, so here value 5 is also same, x is also same, both are same reference, so there is no duplication of address created and you can use the same address itself. Okay, that's why Python is very popular and memory efficient too in many other ways. Okay, let's see another example similar to this. Say x equal to x plus 2. Okay, now if I print id of x, now an id, oops, what is the mistake I'm making, x equal to x plus 2. Okay, we have not defined x equal to 5, right? So now if I run this, you can see an address got generated. Now if I use print id of, let's say 7, now you can see both it use the same address again. All right, so now in case if I use this as id of 8, you can see a different address is getting generated. Here it is 264, here it is 296, because the values are different, right? So the simple concept is whenever you want to reuse your same value across many areas in your program, okay, so you can reference it to the same address so that it is very memory efficient. You do not want to duplicate the address creation. Okay, so that is why again Python is very popular and very memory efficient in many other ways. Okay, so this is something as a programmer you wanted to understand in real time. You might not be very sure about where you are using it, but if you understand this concept, right, it will be very important for you in real time programming. All right, so next we'll look at what is namespace. Okay, so namespace is actually a collection of names. Namespace is a collection of names. In Python, you can imagine a namespace as a mapping of every name you have defined to corresponding objects. Okay, different namespace can coexist at a given time but are completely isolated. Okay, let's see an example so that you'll understand this definition better. Before that, you can see this diagram, smaller representation, which shows different namespace present in Python. So at the innermost space, we have something called local namespace, all right, and then we have global namespace, and then we have something called built-in namespace. Okay, so first let's try to understand this, okay, and then we can see an example about how this works. Okay, local namespace means it is locally available for you, it is available within your function. Global, as the name depicts, it will be available for the entire function or entire program, I could say. Built-in namespace is another interesting namespace that is available. Okay, let's see an example to understand this better. Okay, let me create a function, def function 1, and let's say b equal to 20, and we'll declare another function, define function 2. This is more like a inner function, and here we'll have c equal to 30, and let's have a equal to 10. Okay, here I'm not going to run this program, but I will explain you what I've done here. So here a equal to 10 is the global namespace, it is common across your entire program, whereas b equal to 20, it's a local namespace for your function 1. Okay, because it is immediately available for you, so it is a local namespace for your function 1. So this is another inner function, we have nested function. So here we have c equal to 30. So this is a local namespace only for function 2. It is not related to this function 1 by any means. Okay, so this is this is a very smaller representation of what is a local and global namespace. Okay, so let's see another example. Okay, let's have the same function 1. Let's have say x equal to 20. Now let's have another nested function called the function 2. Let's have x equal to say 30. Let's print this, print x equal to the value x. All right, now and then function 2 equal to print x equal to x. All right, and then finally we'll have x equal to 10. We'll call function 1 and we'll print x equal to x. Okay, now let me run this program. Okay, just intend it so that you can clearly understand what's happening at each and every step. So now I will run this. You can see the values x equal to 30, x equal to 20, x equal to 10 got printed. Okay, so it printed as 30, 20, 10. Now let's try to understand this program. Okay, so why did 30 printed first? Okay, so here we have print function called 30, and here we are calling function 2 again, and here we have function 1. Okay, so here x equal to 20 is the local namespace for your function 1. Similarly, we have a nested function called function 2 here. Here x equal to 30 is a local namespace for your function 2. You're calling that function 2 again, and so the function 2, what it does is it will, so if you print x here, this is coming out, right? So you can see this is an inner function where you printed x. whereas this print statement comes outside of your function 2, which is, you can understand it easily by looking at the indentation. Here you are printing x, so x value will be 20, and 10 is the global namespace that is available for this function, and you're calling this function 1 and printing x, so 10 is getting printed. Okay, so do not confuse this with quite a lot of other things, because I know it will be a little confusing, but once you start programming in real time, you will clearly understand, because you will be using real time variable names within your function, which will actually make you understand the concept very clearly, right? So here this x equal to 20 will belong to this function 1 only. This is locally available for this, whereas x equal to 30 is locally available for this function, and x equal to 10 is globally available. So it's a global value that is available. Okay, so this is how this varies. Okay, we still have a lot of complex namespace operations, but I just want to give you very basic introduction about it, so that you will have a very clear understanding about what is local, global, and built-in namespace. Okay, so do not worry, we will regularly use this in our upcoming programs. All right, so next I have something called Python variable scope. So this this is more of a theoretical slide. I'm just gonna run through these points quickly, because we have already discussed about this. All right, although there are various unique namespace defined, we may not be able to access all of them from every part of the program. The concept of scopes comes into play. Okay, there is a concept called scope. Okay, so if we look at this program again, you have same value x here, same value x, the same variable name x here, right? Even though you are using same name, right? So we are using x here also, right? Even though we are using the same name, it does not confuse which one to use, because that's when the concept of scope comes into play, and we have a very clear understanding about how local namespace and global namespace works, right? The scope of the portion of a program from where a namespace can be accessed directly without any prefix, right? As we seen in our example earlier, we use the same value x everywhere without prefixing it with different names. Okay, we can use the same name across your programs by using this namespace or a scope concept. Okay, at any given moment there are at least 3 nested scopes: scope of the current function, which has local names; scope of the module, which has global names; outermost scope, which has built-in names. Okay, so this is what we saw in our previous diagram, so you can look into this definition. All right, when a reference is made inside a function, the name is searched in the local's namespace, then in the global namespace, finally in the build namespace. Okay, so whenever there is a reference, it will go from local namespace, that is, it will go from this local namespace. The reference will first look at local namespace, and then it will look at global namespace, and then it will look at built-in namespace. Okay, so this is how that hierarchy will evolve. Right, finally, if there is a function inside another function, a new scope is nested inside a local scope. All right, so whenever you use nested functions as well, there will be a new variable scope too. Okay, so this is a very basic introduction I want to give you. Do not confuse with deeper understanding about what is namespace and how it is occurring. If you know about how to create a local namespace, global namespace, built-in namespace, that would be more than enough. Okay, for beginners I would really suggest to understand this much only. If you dig in deeper, it will be there will be a lot of confusion. Okay, so in the advanced Python tutorial we'll look about detailed information about namespace and how memory management and all works. All right, so for now just focus on this one. I think it should be more than enough for you to understand what is name and namespace in Python. All right, so that's all what I want to cover as part of this video, guys. In case if you have any queries, please let me know in the comment section. Thank you.